on this episode of the Racing 57 Diecast Unboxing Review. And this is going to be one of the largest Diecast Unboxing Review sets, as this is from the Disney Pixar Cars Mini Racers series. It is a 15-pack Mini Racers variety. So on the package, you of course have this little picture. So you got McQueen, Mater, Cruz, Dinoco Cruz Ramirez, the King, or Strip Weathers, Jackson Storm, and Motor Trabersky. And unlike most of the Cars Mini Racers packs, they usually come in packs of 3. But this time we have 15 different cars to review, although I have reviewed some of them in other videos. And usually in these packs, they'll usually include a rare car, something that usually you won't get in a 3-pack, like this Mack truck. So on the bag is information of all these different racers, all these different cars, and you also got these 3-packs below it, and of course other packs like a 10-pack, and of course a 20-pack where you can collect 2 silver mini racers. So in this pack, it does come with a Jocko Flacco Mack, Cars 1 of Lightning McQueen, Strip Weathers, or the King, the Fabulous Hudson Hornet, Cruz Ramirez, Rusty's Paint Job, Mater, Luigi, Sally, Chick Hicks, Jackson Storm, Ryan Inside Laney, Rodette Marker, Royce Revsley, Fillmore, and Lizzie. I'm just going to set this down because it is a huge box compared to the other boxes that I've reviewed. So I will take my time unboxing this box, and we're going to be back to review all 15. So I've taken the mini racers out of the package, and they're still inside the plastic, and they're holding plastic cells, so each of them have their own space. So if you don't know what the mini racers are, so I'm just going to take Lightning McQueen, a Cars 1 version of Lightning McQueen, out. And so he is small compared to the 155 scale cars. But one thing about the mini racers is that this is another segment of Disney Pixar's Cars die-cast collectibles that you can collect. They once did micro drifters where they had mini, like a silver ball steel, so you can just move them around. There was another, Cars Minis. They are slightly bigger, but they don't have a lot of detail compared to these mini racers. And there are more that I could think of, but I can't remember what they were. But overall, they are fun little collectibles that you can collect. So I'm actually going to leave Lightning McQueen out. So what this will do is that I might review the cars that I haven't done already, and I'm not sure what to do with the ones that I have done. So the ones I've done is Cars 1 Lightning McQueen. I've already did Mater as well from another package. I have done Cruz Ramirez in a Rusty's form and Jackson Storm, but I might do them again. So let's get into the reviewing. Here are all the mini racers out of the plastic container, and I've already grouped them into 4 different groups. So you got the Radiator Springs crew, the Cars on the Road characters, Mack from Cars 3, and of course the Piston Cup racers, which are over there. So there won't be a 360 view of the cars as there are so many of them, but also the fact that we'll be looking them off one by one, except for McQueen and Mater, considering that I've already done both of them already. So we're going to take each group of them at a time, and I will review them off. I keep saying we, I'm not sure why, but I'll review them off. But let's dive into the review. So first off, I figured we start out with Jocko Flacco Mack. So Mac is in the Cars Mini Racers scale, which is kind of unique considering the fact that Mac is a pretty big character in the movie, as he is a semi-truck. And so you'll find this character, well, Mac can be found in all 3 movies, but to find this Mac specifically, so Lightning McQueen wants to race at Thunder Hollow, and since Luigi says that there's going to be a lot of camera crew if they know he was going to be there. So Mac came up with a disguise where he would look like a party supply truck. Now, one thing about this Mac is that it doesn't come with a trailer, which I'm not sure how big the trailer would be considering the fact that he's about nearly the same length as McQueen and nearly the same height. But he still has that little lightning bolt on the side, no 95. There is Rusties, but it's been covered up to make sure he hides. And also, he's in his Rusty's training center paint job instead of his usual paint scheme, which is a nice red. Well, I'm going to bring back McQueen again. Kind of like what McQueen would usually have. And with the same Rusty's logo, too, which is usually where the Party Supply banner used to be. And of course, when I say trailer, I'm not so sure if they do ever release a trailer. I'm not sure if it will fit in this little hole space. And of course, you get the grill. It says Mac on the front. A Mac truck semi-hauler. But overall, Mac is a pretty nice character. And it's nice that Mattel does these mini trucks. I mean, they did one for the King's hauler and I think Jackson Storm's truck driver as well. So it's kind of unique to see Mac in the same size as the other characters. Next up on the list I would do is the 2 characters from Cars on the Road. So I'm going to take back the box a little to read them off what they were again. Considering the fact I don't really collect much of these characters. So we're going to start off with this car right here. And this car's name is Royce Revsley. And this car can be seen in the show Cars on the Road, where McQueen and Mater take a road trip to see Mater's sister at her wedding. So in episode 3 is where you'll find this character. So this car is a land speed racer. So McQueen and Mater were driving through the desert until they lost sight of the road, and then they land into an area where land speed racers take part, where they go super fast in the desert about breaking speed records. And Mater wanted to go really fast, and well, he nearly, died essentially, but he survived, and eventually they went back on the road and no longer went speed again. So this car can be found when McQueen was giving off the different names of the racers. Sorry, I was trying to think about what class he was in, but I know he was the second car. So he said that you got your classic hot rods, special imports. So this car was a special import. So this car is mostly orange with some yellow lines, yellow streaks. You got NICOLAS, and you got the number 523 with A. I think that's his racing number. And you got this special engine where it helps this car run super fast in the desert. And of course, these really cool tires, white rubbers, which is unique too, considering the fact that a lot of the cars diecast, their rubbers is usually black. Now we're going to move on to the little car, clown car. And this car is Rodete Marker. So just like a clown, it has that like red lips, kind of like what the clown has, right where the face is. It's basically like the makeup, which is the first time I see out of a car. A clown wears like a lot of colorful colors, so like purple, white, yellow, red, and like a bow and a hat to represent like the funny look of a clown. And this car was essentially seen in episode 5 when McQueen and Mater and their new friend Ivy were driving along, and when they spot a circus, Ivy went inside, so did Mater. McQueen was hesitant because he was scared of clowns. And I'm not sure where this car appeared. I think it was during the show, or essentially when they were just randomly popping out of nowhere. I'm not sure this was the car that jumped out too. But overall, a funny, silly looking car for Rodete Marker. And as for Royce, A pretty nice looking hot rod. Next up, after Mac and 2 characters from Cars on the Road, we have 5 different Piston Cup racers besides McQueen and Doc that are in this package. So, in this pack, it includes the King, or Strip Weathers, Chick Hicks, Russ Dees, Cruz Ramirez, Jackson Storm, and Ryan Inside Laney. So first I start off with Cruz Ramirez, as the light years aren't on Cruz Ramirez. As you can see, she's mostly yellow with just the Russ Dees 95s on the side, nothing on the hood. And of course her name is at the bottom of the 95. And of course what's interesting about the 5 is that on this 5 down here, it forms into a Willys Butte kind of shape on the back with the black number 95. So in this paint job, Cruz took over McQueen in the early stages of the Florida 500, and she ended up winning from this guy, Jackson Storm. So what's interesting about the Cars Mini races of Jackson Storm, or the fact that I didn't really pay much attention to Jackson Storm in his 155 scale, is that he is a little bit gray at the top with this blue S of the integer sign, and of course black at the bottom with those rookie stripes at the back. But also he has this like smile expression compared to his like stern look in his 155 scale, which is kind of unique. You've got his 2.0, which is to represent like next gens are 2.0s, like the future of the sports, so 2.0s. So next up, I've got the King, or Strip Weathers, aka. And what's interesting though about him is the light year on the tires, considering the fact that the next gens don't have them. And I think the reason why is that they are so small compared to what the rims are compared to the King's tires. You've got all this little good detail here. Sorry if I paused off a little. I was trying to catch my breath. You got little logos like Piston Cup, all these other sponsors, Revolting, Vitaline. You've got the little Dynaco logo on there. And of course, a lot of 43s all around. And usually he's in his long 43 Plymouth, which represents Richard Petty's Plymouth car that he ran in NASCAR in the 70s, in the early 70s. But this is one nice looking car, and he has that nice looking smile. So next up is Chick Hicks. And what's interesting about Chick Hicks is the fact this is a Cars 3 version of Chick Hicks. So you still got the 86 and all these little sponsors around, but you got his name, the RSN, Racing Sports Network logos around him, and of course his Chick Hicks number 86. I'm not sure why Mattel went with this paint job instead of his Cars 1 paint job as well. And also, they haven't done one of him in his Cars 1 paint job where you have HTB, Hostile Takeover Bank. He's got no light years considering the fact that he left the Piston Cup. So you got just his black rubber wheels with the yellow rims. And overall, not a bad look for Chick, although he is one of the most hated cars, I believe. Next up, you have Ryan Inside Laney. And I know I said that the next-gen cars don't have light year, but Ryan Inside Laney does, and they're right there, which is very small, along with some orange and blue rims. So Ryan Inside Laney is also known as Ryan Blaney, the 2023 NASCAR champion. And this is his 2017, he was one of the 6 first next-gen cars. So you have more of a determined look compared to Ryan Inside Laney of his 155 scale diecast, where he was more mellow than this look. Blinker is one of the new sponsorships in the Piston Cup, one of the new cars. So he took over for Speedy Comet after Jackson Storm's introduction. The 21s, both sides of the car are very different. So you got one paints, the blue is like leaning towards like making a long angle, and the other side is making an acute angle. You got the rookie stripes. Of course, Ryan Inside Laney was one of the new next-gen racers entering into the Piston Cup. His blue spoiler. But overall, Ryan Inside Laney is the only new next-gen Piston Cup car that I have in my collection other than the 3 next-gen Piston Cup racers that I have. And not a bad selection of Piston Cup racers for this pack. For the final sets of cars, it is the Radiator Springs crew. So this one, besides Mater, which we've already reviewed, I've got Luigi, the Fabulous Hudson Hornet, Sally, Fillmore, and Lizzie. So I'm going to start off with little Luigi. And what I mean by little is that Luigi is actually the smallest car out of all the cars in the pack. So, yeah, people think maybe either Rodete. But Luigi's height is not the same as... I lost Luigi. Hang on. Isn't the same height as it? Well, Luigi's backwards, but it isn't the same height, considering the fact that Rodete has this. And Royce is actually bigger compared to Luigi as well, even though they're the same length. And so Luigi is one of the smallest diecast cars from the Cars line. But Luigi's got this little nice smile, this cap that looks like he has hair or he is wearing a hat. His nice little wheels with white and silver rims with black rubber. Now, they've done Luigi, but I'm not sure if Guido can be made, considering that Guido is also very small compared to Luigi as well. So, but it'll be nice to see Guido, but I'm not sure how the Cars Mini Racers waves might do pitties, as none of them have been introduced. Then next up in this group is the Fabulous Hudson Hornet, or Doc Hudson. So he's in this nice Hudson Hornet body. It has the twin H power as Hudson power. And in NASCAR history, the Hudson Hornets are very powerful cars, as they have won 3 straight championships in a row. But that was their only time before the Hudson Hornet was retired from NASCAR. So you've got his back wheels are covered. So they're still there with the other red wheels. I mean, the red rims with the black rubber wheels are showing up more than the back wheels. But also unique about the side of the car is it looks like the Hudson Hornet has been racing on the dirt. You got Doc with his nice smile. On the side, you got the 51, the Fabulous Hudson Hornet. And on top of the hood, you got his name and 4 number 51 surrounding the edge of the hood. Of course, this nice Hornet logo on the side. I mean, in the back of the trunk. And I'm not sure they've done a regular Doc Hudson yet, but I think they might have had. I don't know why I said like I said, but I've only just gotten into the game like last year, so pretty much I haven't collected a lot of Cars Mini Racers. Next up is Sally. So you got her in her nice Porsche body, and it's a kind of shame that Porsche retired this model of car, but you still got this nice smile, the Porsche logo. And what's interesting about the back is that you see this pinstripe tattoo. So Sally Carrera is a brand of the car, and they modeled off of this car. And what's back to the back where I said, like I said, is that it's interesting that the pinstripe tattoo is shown. And usually this part of Sally is usually folded behind, or I think it was folded. But most diecasts of Sally don't have this up top unless you get the one that is like specialty with Sally showing her pinstriping tattoo. And she's in this nice, I think, light blue. I'm not sure what kind of blue it is since I don't really know much of my colors. But she's actually one of the nice looking cars of the series. Now next up is Fillmore. And Fillmore has a lot more detail compared to the other Radiator Springs cast. So you got a lot of peace signs, groovy, love. So like Fillmore was basically a hippie. There's peace, this nice little road, flowers all over. And what's amazing is about the back, there's a lot of good detail in this that not many minis back then won't really have all this kind of detail. But Fillmore has all of this detail, which is kind of impressive. Now up the front, you've got the Volkswagen logo, as he is a Volkswagen bus. And what's interesting about the goatee is that it's the same color when it's usually a license plate. I'm not sure why they did that. They did do a license plate for his back, but they didn't do it for his front, which it looks like it's a part of him rather than a goatee. But overall, Fillmore's pretty nice, although I do wish Sarge was in this pack as well. So next up is Lizzie, and her model is one of the very first cars, or one of the first cars to be in the Cars world, which is unique though too, considering that there had been some Cars fans who have their own theories of what happened to humans in this world. But Lizzie did marry didn't marry the founder of Radiator Springs, which is Stanley. So she has this one door off the side, a spare wheel with her license plate on, and she isn't in like her old traditional wheels where they were like almost as if they were like wagon wheels attached to a car body. And in order to make sure that her body is like stiff, kind of like what mini racers are usually, her shape is a little more boxy compared to the 155 scale. I'm not sure what it says on the back though, but I do assume that the red thing is her light, her tail light though. But it is nice detail of Lizzie. So all 5 of these Disney Pixar Cars characters from Radiator Springs are really nice looking, I should say. And overall, of all the Cars mini racers, they're all pretty nice. So here are all the mini racers back together again. Of course, McQueen and Mater are in the middle. So overall, all these cars are pretty amazing, and I wish there were more 15 packs or more Cars Mini Racers packs that I could review on this channel, but like I said, I was late to the game of collecting mini racers, as I don't really collect them, but now I do. And if I had to pick one good character, I think the best one, from my opinion, would be the Hudson Hornet or the King. But that's just my take. And I guess this will wrap up today's episode on the Racing 57 Diecast and Unboxing review. And like I said, there won't be a 360 view of each car, as I've already reviewed each car on their own, and there's so many to go through. But let me know if you want a 360 view, and I could just do them separately in a shorts. So this will wrap up today's episode on the Racing 57 Diecast and Unboxing review of the Cars Mini Racers 15 pack. Thank you for watching today's episode, and more episodes will be out soon, so please subscribe for some more videos.